this week we have a beautiful antique buffet. It's a custom for a client. And I was a bit hesitant to do another antique back to back. But thankfully, this one doesn't need hardly any repairs.
It's in beautiful shape, and I am ready for something simple this week.
Really, she just wants us to paint it one color and to freshen up the hardware and freshen up the inside. We can do that.
And look at all this cute hardware. It's all in really good shape. So Dani's just taking it off, and we're going to keep it all, aren't we?
Yeah, remember when we first started, we used to change all the hardware. Like, we just hated antique hardware. But I've really grown such an appreciation for it. It's gorgeous.
And the most important thing is the client loves it and she wants it to stay on.
Absolutely. Our client and her husband picked this piece up years ago. So they've had it in their home, have been using it and love it. Well, her husband passed away a couple of years ago, and she was just ready for a refresh, for everything to be brightened up in her house, to spark joy. So that's why she wanted this to be painted a bright, bubbly color, just so she is filled with joy when she looks at it. Because we're not going down to raw wood, thank goodness, right, Mom?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is going to make our lives easy because we're just painting it. So I'm scuff sanding right now with a 180 grit, and this breaks up the old finish on here, and it's going to make it a lot easier for our paint to adhere.
You know what? I don't think I did any sanding on this piece whatsoever. That's a first.
That really is a first. I was thinking that too. That's strange. Well, I'm glad I could finally jump in and save you from it a little bit.
Yeah. So look at the cool colors on the side of that. Tell me, what's going on with that?
Yeah, so the client had actually gone to a local boutique and picked up some Fusion paint and really wanted that top color, that Park Bench by Fusion. And just in case it was a little too bright, I also did Aloe by Melange below it so she could pick what would work best in her house. And she wanted bright and cheery, so she chose the Fusion Park Bench.
Nice. It's so hard to choose colors sometimes.
Mom, the surf prep's still at your house, so I'm just going to do the big flat areas because I can't fit with my orbital sander in those small chunks.
These drawers are over 100 years old. They need a little TLC.
Yeah, they weren't in terrible shape, but they definitely need to be freshened up.
Yep, so what do? Sanding them down, and then you're going to put on some wood conditioner?
Yeah, some Howard feed and wax.
Great.
And then we should probably fix the bottoms too. They're a little saggy. I'm not sure most furniture refinishers do every nook and cranny of old drawers, but I feel like that's just a service that makes sense, because if we're going to refinish this piece, we might as well try to make it almost as good as new. So we're doing the inside of the drawers, the outside of the drawers, sanding even the bottom of the drawers, just to really revive these drawers so they'll last another 100 years.
You go, girl.
Speaking of which, Mom, where the heck are you? I don't remember doing all this on my own.
I know. Were you working on the weekend or what?
I might have been.
If you guys don't know, it is really hot here in Arizona. So Dani is wearing a cooling towel around her neck. She gets it wet, and it really does help to keep her cool.
The best. I think it's the only thing that's allowed us to keep working in the garage this summer.
I know, but have you ever got your towel caught in any tools yet, Dani?
Okay, I will say this. When I'm using power tools, I wrap it up like a scarf, like saws and dangerous things, so that way there's no dangling. But with the sander, Because it's hooked up to that dust extractor that works like a vacuum, yes, it's been sucked a couple times.
I know, me too.
But nothing dangerous, it's fine.
The Surf Prep sander that Dani's using right now is our go-to detail sander. Nothing beats the big orbital Bosch that we have for taking off a lot of finish, but this little sander, it's like a 3x4. It gets in all those detailed areas, and we just love it for that.
And around the curves too. It really is helpful to have both.
And we're going to do a review on a Surf Prep real soon, aren't we? Ooh, that drawer looks a little gap-delicious.
Yes, a few of the drawers were gap-delicious. So I'm going to use my nail gun just to throw in some brad nails to tighten up this gap. That way, anything she puts in these drawers later aren't going to fall through or make the drawer bottom fall out.
And Ellie has to come over and inspect, of course.
Do you see all that movement? That's her running into the tripod.
So when we use Howard's Feed and Wax, we usually pour it into a bowl and then take a brush, and just that helps to get it into all the little nooks and crannies.
And it really works it into the wood so the drawers will stay hydrated for much longer.
Remember in the winter, we had to microwave it first?
We did, and now it's just practically pure liquid.
I saw you doing this out of the corner of my eye, and I didn't say anything, but I knew I should have. I knew there was something wrong here.
I have regrets, okay? Pro tip, don't use something oily before you're about to paint. It makes your life much more difficult. It's painting day.
I love that color, but it is not park bench.
Right, so this is actually Fusion Bayberry because I only had 1 pint of the park bench, and this sprayer can go through quite a bit of paint. So I used Bayberry for the first 2 coats just to get it on there and get the first 2 coats nice and thick to cover the wood. And then we came in and did 2 more coats of park bench over the top.
Ooh, there's the park bench. And boy, that does look very bright and cheery.
When I sprayed the piece, the drawers were in there, so the fronts are nice and done, but just as a nice finishing touch, we like to use a paintbrush to get all the edges the same color. So we're going to pull them out to do that.
And why didn't you tape off, Dani?
Because it had a nice lip, so nothing was going to bleed over, thankfully.
Oh, I thought it was because the tape wouldn't stick to the Howard's Feed and Wax.
Thanks for rubbing that in, but that would also be the case as well. It's still a little too oily.
After Dani cleaned up the hardware, it was still looking pretty tarnished and old and not really looking good.
Well, and it's really thin too, so I couldn't scrub very hard. I didn't want to ruin it.
So, what'd you do?
Just use a beautiful gold spray paint, polyed it, and got you to do the hard work of attaching it all.
I know, but it looks so good.
It does. It's very St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day, okay. That wasn't my first thought.
Oh, really?
You all might be wondering why we didn't use a primer on this. And I'll tell you, if you don't know already, Fusion Paint is an all-in-one mineral paint, and it has added primer and a top coat added into it.
Right, and there are some times where we would use a primer even with our all-in-one paints, but this wood wasn't bleeding through, so it was a perfect candidate to just use the paint by itself.
Okay, you guys, we were doing 5 pieces this week and totally forgot to get footage of the shelf liner.
I know, I was a little scatterbrained.
Yes.
It's so cute. Well, thank you guys for watching. We're so glad you're here. Make sure to stay tuned for that surf prep review coming up soon. And aloha!